welcome to another episode of I Take
D.
I'm Joel.
And I'm Carla.
And this is the I Take D Ministry. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube page or our YouTube channel and follow us there. You can follow us on other social media outlets. Please share as much as you can if you really like the videos. Today's topic is stress.
Yeah, or like you better call it, be cool.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. I actually came out with, I was like, be cool. And it's an understatement if we say, oh man, I'm so stressed, especially in today's world, during a pandemic, having to wear a mask and this and that, and kids are home, they're remote learning or not remote learning, working from home, not working from home. Whew, there's a lot going on. The government and the social movements and this. Oh my God, I don't even know.
Just so much, I think that the pandemic has created a little bit of chaos within our normal routines, right? And now we have to adjust to a new normal because regardless of how, we're gonna get to normal soon, you almost understand that we're never gonna get back to the normal that we used to know. Things are different and they are going to be different even when we begin to see the light at the tunnel. So how we manage or be cool within our stress situation when we're encountering as a couple, especially those couples who have children, is really vital and is really important for your relationship.
Yeah, when you say the word cool, I thought that I was probably as cool, calm, and collected as I could be until I got into my marriage and realized there were areas in my own life that were not calm, cool, and collected. And with that, I'm not saying that we're going to have moments where we're just not going to follow what we should follow as handling stress in a healthy way. But what I am saying is that we become more aware of our stress and how we handle our stress.
That's right. And there's two areas on how people deal with stress. One of those is people become withdrawn or isolated. They just like to withdraw from everything and all the surrounding, even their spouses, even family, even friends. They just like to withdraw. And others is totally the opposite. Actually, is they like to be near friends. They like to be near families. They like to find not being alone. And sometimes, and within the pandemics, it's not so easy to either manage both. So I think it's important how we begin to manage stress. It's not that no one is going to be stressful or that there's not going to come a time that you're not going to be stressed. It's how we begin to manage that stress.
Yeah, that word manage is so important because again, we're not sharing today's topic of stress as stress being always a negative thing. Stress is not always a negative thing. Actually, stress is building our bodies so that it can encourage us, motivate us to get to a solution or do what we need to do. But there are moments where we are not able to manage our stress appropriately. And then imagine you bring two people together that could potentially have, different characters. Like in our marriage, she has a certain character, I have a certain character. And so there were moments that I didn't handle my stress appropriately or she wouldn't handle her stress appropriately. And all it took was a little bit extra added to everything else that we had as stress. And we were either at each other's throats and just like, not expressing ourselves in a positive manner, in a way that will actually build our relationship and not destroy our relationship.
Yeah, and when we begin to deal with stress, it becomes to have impact in our health and also in our relationship.
It does. It's so true. I mean, right, like we sharing this because we've been in those situations, and I wish, we both think about these things and say, man, if we would have just had someone to share with us, because let's think about this. Nobody, like we didn't go to school and nobody told us this is how you handle stress. So you kind of just deal with it as you go along, but then realize that, man, if I just had somebody tell me how to just, take a deep breath, how to, when things are just too hot at the moment, take a break. Don't have a conversation about it at the moment. And just finding ways to handle and manage that stress.
Yeah, I think it's important because again, the way you begin to manage those areas and your stress levels and how you even outburst, like yeah, I mentioned two areas: isolation, withdrawn, or you can actually look for people. But some people actually deal with it in another different way, and it's outbursts, angry outbursts, and just yelling at the first person that walks in the room, even that person's your children or your spouse. You just become so angry because you are not able to manage those stress levels.
You know how many? I don't know how many times. Like I'll be honest. I've been there where I'll get an outburst because I didn't manage my stress appropriately, and so what I do is I actually what ends up happening is that I disrespect my spouse. I disrespect her through my my tone, the volume of my voice, and that just, it's not helpful in our relation. Then that just creates other things.
Yeah.
And I've done it even with our kids. Like I'm stressed out because I don't know, our youngest didn't do what we asked her to do, or she responds back, which in Puerto Rican families, let me just tell you, that's not okay. There's something about kids answering back in a Puerto Rican family, maybe in other cultures as well, but at least I can only talk about our culture. You don't talk back to your parents. And so I've been in moments where, like, I think this is actually something that we could share with couples, is that you can help balance each other out during stress. Like one of the things that Carla has done with me and I've done with her is that if she sees that I'm getting to that level where she sees that I'm not managing that stress appropriately, she doesn't put me on the spot. Let's say I'm trying to correct Abby about something, but my stress level is so high that I'm not managing it well. She doesn't put me on the spot and try to embarrass me in front of our youngest. What she'll do is, like, she'll tap me, very discreetly, and just kind of get me out of the situation. And that makes me feel good, because what it does for me is it helps me kind of, like, she balances that, and she's almost like my warning at times. Like if she sees that I'm not catching that, oh man, I'm not handling it, I'm not managing my stress well, then she helps me through that process.
Yeah, and I think that's important. That's a respectful way. I know many of those couples who follow ITD have heard of love and respect, and how we love our spouse and how we respect our husband. I think that's a level of respect. I acknowledge at that time he's not taking the, being upset in a healthy level, right? Manage it in a healthy level for our children. So me lovingly letting him know with respect, honey, I think it's time for bring it down a notch, right? From 100, bring it back to 10, but in such a way that is healthy. But one of the things that stress causes in a person is exhaustion. When a person becomes exhausted, it becomes empty. It's because you're empty. When you already reach a level of being so stressed out, in some part of you, inside of you, your level of is empty. You are so empty. You become drained mentally, physically, and spiritually. And when we are worn out, I don't know about you, but when I'm worn out, we have nothing to give in our marriage. We have nothing to give. So if we have nothing to give at that moment, how are we going to be able to give in our marriage and our relationship?
That's so true. And I mean, think about it. Like, if you can't even, you're at that moment where you can't give, then, right, like, not only can you not provide for yourself, and now you can't provide for others. And in a marriage, this is about, like, two people coming together and becoming one. So that's why, again, it's so important that whichever one notices, like if I notice that she is definitely at that place where she can no longer give because she's exhausted, her stress level at that place, it is my responsibility as her husband to show her love by helping her kind of, bring it down. Not in a way where it's like, oh, why are you so stressed out? No, but maybe taking her out, maybe having her go to one of her favorite places to bring down her stress level is going by the beach. She loves to hear the waves. So as I start to see those moments in my wife's life, take her out on a date. We've talked about dating, continuing to date even when you're already married. So do those things for your spouse. Bring them their favorite candy or their favorite pastry, or try or have a conversation with them. Sometimes my wife wants to share stuff with me, and she's not asking me for me to fix. She's not asking for me to fix it. She's just hoping that she can get it out of her system. And so my job is to at least listen to her.
Yeah, and I think, and it gets me to a level. The reason why it's important for me to come down and he brings me to near the water or ocean where I can hear just the water running or water waves is because when you are in such an ability or in a state of mind that you can't make decisions.
Mm-hmm.
When you're so stressed out, you have the inability of making decisions, and sometimes the reasons why you're under stress is because there's probably decisions that you have to make that you have no idea how to make them. Let's manage our stress together so that we can begin to untackle. The worst thing that we can do is trying to make a decision, trying to establish something when we're stressed out. That is not the healthy way. You're not going to find a solution for the problem. You're not going to find the end of the tunnel when you're in that stress. We have to begin to manage our stress in a way that we are able to make wise decisions.
It's definitely, I guess the key word in all of this is togetherness.
Yes.
Right, because you manage it together. You're one. We continue to bring that theme back again. It's about in the marriage, it's about being one. And so technically, if she's stressed out, I have to help manage that with her, and when I'm stressed out, she has to help manage that with me so that we could both be at a better place. And for us, even something so personal, we're thinking about our youngest and her next level of like going to middle school and then high school. I actually can't even believe that we're even talking about our youngest daughter going to middle school. That's just crazy. I can't even fathom that. But anyway, she does, and so it's been a little stressful, just thinking about do we have her continue, where she's at? Do we have her go somewhere else? Like, especially like nowadays, just choosing a school for your kids is so stressful. Oh my God, I don't know if you agree with us. Like, it's so stressful to send your kids to school nowadays.
It is. It's really stressful. And I think you just brought us to a good, segue in this episode. It's like, I know you're hearing us about, okay, got it, we have to manage the stress and all these things, but give us some tips, right? And I think he's just sharing one. One of the tips that we can share with you today is as well, share your feelings. How are you feeling in that precise moment with your spouse?
Yeah.
This is exactly how I'm feeling. That way, your spouse can begin to understand, one, the stress level that you're on, and how can she or he cope with you in that situation, not to fix you, right? But to help you manage it in a healthy way for you, for your children, and for your spouse. And I think one of the tips that we say, let's talk about your feelings. I know guys are like not feeling touchy about sharing feelings, and we share this in our marriage concepts all the time. I get it, but guess what? Sometimes you need to share with your wife how you feel so that she can begin to help you, right? Maneuver and manage that, because we're not mind readers. I know many of you are like, we're not mind readers. We just want to begin to understand our husbands a little better. And I know they don't like to talk about their feelings a lot, but just sharing at that moment, okay, this is what's stressing me out. This is how I feel, right? At this moment, then the wife can begin to say, okay, let's work on this together.
Yeah, it's really just talking about it. You have to continue communicating. Communication is key.
So
key, even in stress. And I know we almost sound like a broken record.
Yeah, but it's so important.
Yeah, but I've been there where I just don't communicate as I should.
Yeah, and then second, when you're in a traffic light and then from green becomes yellow, you know what that yellow means? I know some of you should be obeying by the law. It means to slow down. Sometimes when you're such in a big stress level, the second tip we want to give you today, slow down. Look at that yellow light and say, okay, it's time for me to slow my pace. That means, well, if you have a really busy schedule, managing to shutting it down a little bit so that you can begin to go back home with levels of stress less. My husband works a lot of hours, and sometimes we can have a really stressful week. The way I know that sometimes he can't manage how much situations at work, then the weekend has to be a slow down weekend. It has to be a weekend that we are not busy, that he's able to slow down, yellow light, right? And have to say, okay, I can begin to manage my stress. And I think the other one, rest. Right, resting is so important. Like,
take time to rest.
I know many of us, don't like to rest. Not necessarily just take a nap. Like, sit down, just watch an episode on TV, something, read a book, just rest. And if you're a person that takes naps, take a nap. Right, keep your body from this drilling. Keep going to actually just stop for a moment. And rest.
I know one of the things that we do, we have very busy schedules, and so sometimes people will say, "Oh, are you available on such and such day?" And what we'll do is we'll say, "Look, I'm not available." It's not that I have something in my schedule. It's just that I'm not available because I'm taking a mental day. I'm taking a day of rest. We're gonna just spend time on us. Not necessarily doing anything that requires for you to be busy, just sometimes just relaxing at home, watching a movie, or in my case, a documentary.
Yeah, and in two other ones that is so important, you probably look at me like, really? Laugh. Watch a comedy. Enjoy some laughter. It does some good to the soul,
It really
right?
does.
It does some good to the soul. Just have a laugh. Watch a comedy. Go do something at home. Watch a comedy. We're in a pandemic. Watch a comedy. Something that you both can laugh at, and laughter can come such a long way. But then again, lastly, take care of yourself. Because if you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of your spouse, you can't take care of your children. And it's important that you begin to take these tips as something how to begin to manage stressful situations at work, at home, anywhere you go, and especially during this pandemic.
Yeah. And if you need help, you need help from a third party, as we always say, reach out to a counselor, reach out to a pastor, so they can, kind of help you manage some of those things and bring into focus how you can both manage stress appropriately. Boy, our time has gone by. It's done. We want to thank you again for joining us on I Take D Ministry. Again, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share with others if you feel this could be helpful to other folks. We want to thank and give a shout out to Anilda for creating this beautiful really cups or beautiful mugs that say I Take D. Thank you all for watching and enjoying our this time with us. Until next time.
Yes, take care.
Bye.